Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. We're going to get started. Ooh, yes, I love the energy. Yes, this is going to be an interactive workshop today. So feel free to communicate back and forth, of course, in an orderly fashion. So today, welcome to our Professional Presence Workshop. We're from NAMIC, New York, which is the National Association for Multi-Ethnicity in Communications. And we're really excited to be able to host you guys today because we felt like as you're transitioning from college, going into your early career, there's a lot of unspoken things in the workplace that they don't tell you. And it's like, we want you to succeed, and we want to equip you with the information. So today, you're going to be working with each other in peers, and we're going to get a little bit into how the game works. But first, I want to introduce the president of NAMIC New York, Sandra, and she is going to give you a little bit of information about NAMIC.
Hi, everyone. I am not going to be on the mic for too long because we have some amazing panelists and executives here who you're going to interact with. So my name is Sandra Garcia-Lowry. I am the New York chapter president for NAMIC. I'm excited that we get to partner with ODI this year because I was first introduced to ODI last year, and I participated as a lunchtime I think, what was it called? I see some people here from the session. Yes, that's what it was. And I see some familiar faces, some folks that I met there last year. Marissa, raise your hand. I love to embarrass you. She's been very involved with NAMIC since then, so I hope to get familiar with some of your faces as well, and hopefully some of you become members of NAMIC if you're interested in the media and communications industry. We are a professional development, career development organization. We also have a lot of networking events. One of our major goals is to see more diverse faces in senior level positions. Yes. Thank you. So this is just a taste of some of the things that we do year round. So if you have questions about NAMIC, how to get involved at the student level, you can become a member. We do have student memberships, but it's a great way to get involved and have access to people like the folks on the stage who are going to introduce themselves, beginning with Tasha Ross, who is also a NAMIC member.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to say I'm really excited to be here. I've missed my NAMIC family. They've had me on the road doing a lot of on-campus recruitment the last month, but I work at Viacom. I'm a senior manager on the campus to career team, but when I'm not at Viacom, I'm working on the programming committee with our NAMIC team, and it's been really exciting to help put together a lot of events, and we hope that you all are interested in joining that. But yes, part of my role, I work on a few of our postgraduate rotation programs on the full-time side. I manage our on-campus recruitment and our diversity and campus partnerships. So I'm really excited to chat with you all today and get to learn more about your interests.
Hey, my name is Peter Brooks. I'm VP of Marketing for Groupe. So we're essentially a full-service marketing and creative agency. Specifically, I help brands, mainly on the startup side, develop their marketing organizations. So I go in there, help you figure out who you need to hire, what your strategy is, and how to scale it and build your business. Before that, I worked at a company called themuse.com. I was director of growth marketing there, worked with wayup.com, Indeed, monster.com. So I have a lot of experience in the HR tech world. But yeah, that's pretty much it on my side.
Hey everyone, my name is Evan Floyd Robinson. I'm one of the co-founders and directors of New York on Tech. New York on Tech is preparing the next generation of technology leaders, and we are positioned as an early pipeline tech talent accelerator. So essentially what we're doing in a nutshell is that we recruit students in high school and now on the collegiate level, and then we train them in high demand web, mobile app, and video game skills, and then we help them get competitive internships at places like Deutsche Bank, Morgan Stanley, Warby Parker, Oath, to name a few. And then while you're in college, we help you transition from college into full-time employment at a lot of these organizations. Before running New York on Tech, I started my career as a technology consultant at Accenture, mainly focused on investment banks and multinational financial services institutions. So doing everything across the board from like web, mobile, to like implementations of ERP systems, CRM systems, and then things around artificial intelligence and robotic process automation.
Hi everyone, Chris Sorrow. I work at eMarketer, and I'm actually lucky enough to be Nataya, who's leading the panel, her colleague. I manage our account management team, and what that means is we have 1,200 clients that are mainly Fortune 500 brands, think Coca-Cola, or their agencies, and we work with them to bring our digital research to them to activate on their campaigns. So if they're running a campaign leading up to the Super Bowl, which many of them are probably thinking about right now, they're leveraging our data on consumers and their behavior to make their decisions. And so we get to work directly with those brand groups and those teams. And then also, when I took my role at eMarketer, one of my first goals was to create a way to grow team members internally. And so previous to my role, we had typically hired people for those account management roles with 5 to 7 years of experience. And what we've reshaped that as is we prefer to now hire people right out of school, right out of college, and develop them into those roles in a shorter amount of time. And I think with focus on the right skills and the right abilities, you can take on more responsibility even more quickly than people would normally expect. And so I'm so excited to speak to all of you, and I'm a true believer in developing people.
So how awesome is this panel, right? So before we get started, we do have someone else who's joining us, Portia McCoy. She's also part of the Namick family. She led up our programming for a little bit before going on maternity leave, but also works for Discovery Networks. I'm gonna hand it off to Nataya and Khadijah, who are our leaders for our Namick Millennial Committee. So that is something that we recently introduced because we wanted to be able to connect with you. And who better to do it than other millennials? Because I think I'm cool, but I think they're cooler. So Nataya, take it over.
Hello. Hi, thank you. Oh, thank you. So this is going to be an interactive workshop, as I mentioned before. I'm Nataya Walker, and I work at eMarketer, and I'm super excited. Come on, Khadijah, come on. And Khadijah works with me at the Millennial Committee with Namick.
Hi everyone, I'm Khadijah Phillips. I've worked for Viacom with Tasha. Tasha gave me my first job. But yeah, I'm also on the Namick committee, and we're really excited to have you guys here today.
Excellent. Oh, yes, clap it up, yes. I like this interactive clap we have going on here. So to explain a little bit about what's about to happen today, we're gonna go through a series of questions. We have broken you out into teams. So I see some people don't have a table home. So if you see that there's any empty chairs, feel free to kind of stroll in and to come into a table, because now you are 5 teams during this next 40 minutes to 35 minutes. We're gonna be going through a series of professional development questions, and we're gonna be having our panelists talk about their experiences, as well as gamifying what the professional experience would be. The prize for the team that wins, you get to have one-on-one time with these extremely talented people after this event, as well as our panelists that are running late and were not able to make it today. So we're super excited. We're going to tell you the rules. So each person on their table has letters. It should say A, B, or C. Oh, thank you. Khadijah is going to be ranking the teams for how many questions you get right. So every time I say a question, I'm gonna ask you what you think the answer is. You'll have 3 minutes as a team to talk amongst yourselves to pick the answer you think is correct. You'll raise your letters in the air, in the air, and then Khadijah will take point score, and we will reveal what the right answer is. Upon revealing the right answer, our panelists will talk about their experience, but then we will also open it up to you for any questions that you have in your professional experience, as well as questions you have about the future, about any of the questions we have today. Sounds good? There is one question where all of the letters need to be used and you need to rank them. So you can decide who your designated holder is on your table and who your group is, and you will be able to put the letters in the correct order and rank them. Sounds good? All right, let's get into, oh, yes, hold on.
Sorry, I just also wanted to identify which team is me which. So we're going 1 through 5. So this table right here, you're gonna be team 1. Team 2, you're diagonal behind them. Team 3 is this table in the front and the middle. Team 4, this table diagonally behind them. And then team 5 all the way over here to the right. So as we identify who has won, you just know that those are your team names.
Good to go? All right, we're gonna get into the first question. Each question has a theme. This theme is interview best practices. I'm sure a lot of you have been on some interviews to get your internship experiences, so we're gonna have our expert Tasha walk us through. What do you need the most to stand out in an interview? A, turn the interview into a conversation and build a candidate fit summary, know more about the company than anyone else, or C, focus on your personal brand. You have 2 to 3 minutes to talk amongst each other. All right, it is time. It is time. All right, put your answers up. Oh, mix.
Okay, wait, hold them there. Team 1 is A.
All right.
Team 2, C, A.
All right, the anticipation is building. You got them?
Yeah, okay.
All right, the answer is B, know more about the company than any other candidate. Yes, and we're gonna have Tasha talk a little bit more about this.
Can you put Yeah. So which group picked B? Who is B? Over here? Nobody picked B. I think there's a little bit of, fairness to really all the responses here, but I do think B is really important. You want to make sure that you know a lot about the company. I will say for Viacom in particular, when people come to interview and they say, oh, I grew up on the Nickelodeon brand. We all grew up on the Nickelodeon brand, right? So you want to make sure you're talking about things that are happening in the business that maybe other people don't know, or showing us that you've done your homework on the company. That is very important, that you know things that maybe are just, that we didn't just tell you in the interview, that you came to that interview with information. But I think it is important to focus on your personal brand, of course, but I think it's probably more important to come there knowing that you have the information, you're showcasing that you're prepared. And then I think A was also somewhat important as well, because you do want to be able to kind of show that candidate fit summary and be able to showcase how you're a fit for the opportunity. But yeah, definitely important. Do your homework, do your research first. You will be doing most of the talking in the interview, so you want to make sure that you sound informed.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question, but we will have Q&A at the end. What do you need, oh, sorry, just kidding. How to maintain contact with the interviewer after meeting? A, an inspirational quote via LinkedIn. B, a drunken picture of you from last weekend's shenanigans. Or C, a valuable article or study you felt was worth sharing. You have 2 minutes. All right, answers up.
Oh, everybody wins.
Yes, C, a valuable article or study you felt was worth sharing. Tasha, want to give us a little light on that?
Yeah, I find that very helpful. And actually, even outside of an interview, I've had folks reach out to me on LinkedIn with something interesting that they found, someone that I met at an event, follow up and reference something like that. And even in addition to the article, showcasing something or reminding me about something that we talked about that resonated with you, that's always nice to kind of continue that conversation. And it makes me remember you, because I do meet a lot of people, but it's great when I can have that conversation that you remind me about and we have that connection over that. But I do think, yeah, showcasing your interest in the industry and like, hey, Tasha, this sounds like really interesting, relevant to what we were talking about last week at that event or whatever. And that's a great way to follow up. But in general, my rule about just following up after an interview is certainly to do the email follow-up directly within 24 hours of your interview. Definitely do not forget that. We've seen candidates who did not get offers, and we were going to give an offer, but they did not send a thank you note. It is so, so important.
I'll agree with that. Us too.
Yeah.
We've had candidates that were top notch that we turned down because they didn't send a thank you follow-up note.
Or if there were lots of typos in the thank you. So that also showcases a lack of attention to detail. So really focus on that. It is also a nice touch if you do mail something in the week to come that comes a little bit later on. That's such a nice touch. No one mails things anymore, but not a requirement, but certainly a nice touch. But certainly don't just do that. We want something within 24 hours first, and then you can do anything else that you like. But if you're able to reference something that you talked about in the interview, that's even better.
Yeah, question?
Hello? Yeah. Thank you so much for that, that quip and the feedback that you gave about maintaining contact with an interviewer to make ourselves stand out. I always wondered about when does it cross the threshold from being thoughtful to spamming? That is, okay, I found one article, I send that to you. There's another article that I found out. I mean, you know, the frequency and the length of time that I send these articles until they give me the job. So that's what I wanted to know. How do we negotiate being thoughtful to being annoying?
When you're doing it after an interview, I would just say singular. So an article or study. I wouldn't do multiple throughout that interview process. I guess I think about doing it more often, maybe every several months or so, if it's someone that you've met that you're connecting with as far as the networking component of things. But if it's connected to an actual interview, yeah, I think one time is sufficient for that in particular. But then as far as follow-up, I definitely think you should give it a week to 2 weeks, at least, maybe even 10 days to 2 weeks or so. I know it feels like you're waiting forever to hear back, but on the HR side, we are too, and usually it's logistical things holding up the process. So we definitely encourage you to just be a little patient with us. Try not to follow up every day, every other day. We usually don't have a lot of updates. We will tell you, we will definitely reach out to you. And you should know, if you're not hearing back from a recruiter right away, it's because they're probably interviewing other candidates too. So give them a chance to go through that process. But if it's been a couple of weeks, you still haven't heard back, just a quick check-in is fine. And we'll try to give you an update on that end too.
All right, excellent. Moving on to the next question. Unspoken rules of business etiquette. Who is one of the most influential people in the office? A VP, B, administrative assistant, or C, senior manager? You have 1.5 minutes to decide. Okay, lift those answers in the air. Yes, the administrative, I know that was a tricky one, the administrative assistant. So any of our panelists can take this question about any experiences you had with EAs or AAs and how they've influenced the workplace.
Yeah, totally important. Me as a hiring manager, I always ask for feedback from anyone that's the AA or someone at the front desk. It's vital to get an understanding of, how's your personality, how do you act, how do you treat people? Because remember, you're walking into an organization, and most of the time, these people are friends, these people are like family. So you don't want toxic people coming in, and that's kind of the first line of defense. But every interview I've ever gone on, they've always asked the AA about the interviewer. So keep that in mind, and always know their name.
I'll give you all kind of one of the strategies I used very early on, especially when I was in college, kind of tying back to what you just said, but also the previous question regarding following up. One thing that I always did when I went on an interview is that I made sure that I spoke and I tried to build a somewhat of a relationship during that small time I was at the office with whoever was at the front desk of the office, and then the front desk of wherever I would potentially be going into the room for an interview. And strategically, what I would always do too is bring thank you notes with me And before I exited the building, I would write the thank you notes to all the interviewers, and I would give it to one of the EAs that were there, or administrative assistants, and say, hey, I want to leave these thank you notes behind to my interviewers, but I'm not sure the best place to put them. Can you please make sure that they get to the interviewers? And majority of the time, I kid you not, I would always receive an email back from a lot of the interviewers saying thank you for this handwritten note. Because a lot of people weren't thinking about, hey, let's write a handwritten note while I'm actually in that office and leave it behind. Majority of people are going to follow up via email, which is great, but also understand that you're following up via email and they just interviewed 30 other candidates. They're potentially also following up via email, and they also have their own kind of day-to-day work coming into that email, into their email box. And so think strategically about how to, broker that relationship, and then something that you could leave behind. So that's worked for me, and that can be something that you use now early in your career.
Hi, everyone. Oh, yes. I apologize for being late. So that's the number one rule, don't be late. Had a situation at home today. For this question, administrative assistant, I'm not sure if anyone said it, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating. But once you have the job, they become even more important because they know where everyone is. They know what's going on with most departments. They know how to get you in front of people that you need to be in front of. Like if you need to run into somebody while they're getting coffee to, say or suggest something, they could tell you that. Like, oh, they take a break this time, they used to do this, they like this kind of coffee. Or if you want to give someone like a nice little gift or a thank you, they know what people might like. So always be nice to the quote-unquote assistants or people who are, who may appear at the lower level. Even the housekeepers, people who clean the building, because you never know who has someone's ear. And a lot of times, the goal is to have a sponsor. You don't want you have to speak for yourself all the time. You want someone to say, oh, that lady or young man was very nice. I heard great things about them. They're always nice to me. You never know when they might hear your name in the room and they can throw in something nice about you. So just always be courteous to whoever you run into in a professional situation. Yes, and they have keys to everything. They know, where all the good pens are and nice, the nice staplers. So, yeah.
The only thing I'd add is do it on a human level. Don't do it just to be strategic because you think it's going to give you the advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will, but it will because you're doing the right thing and because everybody's important. Sometimes you focus on that VP that you're going to the interview with, but every person you meet along the way, especially when you're looking to join a company, is very important.
Excellent. Next question. Yes, clap it up, yes. Energy, yes. Our next question is, what is the top unspoken rules of the office? A, how to dress when to take vacations. B, when flex time really means and when the workday actually ends. Or C, open door policy and when you're expected to respond to an email. You have 1 minute to decide. All right, time is up. Raise those questions in the air. All right, Khadijah. Table 1B, Table 2A, Table 3C, Table 4B, Table 5C. All right, the correct answer is open door policy and when you're expected to respond to emails. Portia, take this one away.
Okay, open door policy and when you're expected to respond to emails. Every company moves at its own pace, right? Some companies are very fast paced and they want things from you right away. Others, you may need to take time to respond. And so I wish I had the perfect answer for you in your current situation, but I'll tell you what I do when it comes to my job. When I see emails come in, I prioritize it's something that has to be responded to right now versus it can wait till later. Obviously when you are working day to day, you know what things are top priority. I work in the event space, so if it's something related to an event that's coming up any day now, I'm like, okay, what is that about? But if this event is like 6 months from now, I'm sure it probably can wait until I do something else. Because also emails can distract you from getting work done. You might have a project to work on and you spend your whole day responding to emails that aren't really important or important to someone else, but not important to you in that moment. And so that's something to be mindful of when you are in your professional careers. Now, the open door policy, a lot of companies, they have this now, especially with the tech industry and tech world, there are no doors, right? So it's very open. You can go into anyone's desk cubicle and say, hi, how you doing? But just make sure if you ever do that, have a real reason. Don't just do it and then waste their time, because it's like, okay, why are you here? So definitely take that opportunity, though, and that advantage to be able to talk to other people, CEOs, whomever else. So open door policy, just be mindful of why you're going through that door.
Perfect. Because of time, we're gonna swim through, but I will open it up for more panelists to be able to talk. Communication style. Communication style is very interesting. A lot of you at the collegiate level, I would encourage you to take the DISC assessment so you can understand what your communication style is, and then you can start to see when you interact with other people in your workplace what their communication styles might be. Because, as you get to the next one, how to ask your supervisor for assistance. A, send a message asking if he or she has a minute to go over a few things. B, walk over to his or her desk and ask for help. Or C, expect him or her to drop everything and help you. You have 30 seconds, because we're getting close on time. All right, time. Letters in the air. Ooh. Yes. Send a message asking if he or she has a minute to go over things. Our next panelist, can you please take this question?
I'll jump in.
Yes.
Super important. You have to be respectful of people's time, and you don't know if they're in the middle of something, concentrating. So I work in the tech industry. No walls. I mean, no doors. There are walls. Yeah, so everyone's accessible, but I might be in the zone working. So I'd rather get a Slack message. I'd rather get an email asking for some time. And I think it just shows a sign of respect. And beyond that, you want to make sure that you're known, right? If you don't get the time to go up to somebody and speak to them, at least that's in their message, in their inbox, and they have a message.
Yeah, great. And I also just wanted to add, too, when you start a new position, you start your new internship, it's important to probably have that conversation in the beginning, talking about what their expectations are, what are their preferences. Some people, like there's folks on my team who are like, you have a question, just come on by, or just send me a message anytime, and they're just really open to. Other folks are like, I have a system, I have a process, give your questions for X, Y, and Z time. So I think it's important to just know what that person's personal preferences are, and then try to just follow accordingly.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to start zooming through some of these so that we can get to all the panelists. Understanding company culture and fit. Rank company culture and fit. A, after work activities offered to employees. B, celebrated achievements and dress code. Or C, lunch policies, office tours, and volunteer opportunities. So this is the one you have to rank, and what's most important to least important. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to get your letters in order. So you can put them in any order that you feel is most important. So B can come first, C can come second, A can come last. It just depends on which one you think as a team is most important. Are you ready? Oh, wait, hold on. I see some switching over there. Hands up high, 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 high. Table 2. Y'all look a little suspicious over there.
I saw the answer.
We can't see. Hold on. This is a disqualified question. I see some confusion. Table 3, what is going on here? Okay. B, celebrated achievements and dress code. A, after work activities offered to employees. C, lunch policies, office tours, and volunteer opportunities.
So looking into the crowd, I can see that no one got the answer right, but it's, y'all got it right? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I overlooked you guys. You guys got it. This was hard for me, to be honest, when I was reading through it. But speaking through every kind of bullet particularly, so B, celebrated achievements and dress codes. How many of you in the crowd actually like to be celebrated when you do something correctly? Me. And so I think that's very, that's very important for work culture because one, it helps boost kind of team morale. A lot of the times if you don't feel like your work is being noticed, that can make you less enthusiastic about doing your work and completing your task. And so having that culture where people actually value and recognize you, whether through email or during a town hall meeting where they, highlight the work that you're doing and how it's contributing to the job or the client, I think that's very important. Two, added onto that same one there, dress code. I think dress code, especially nowadays, people want to feel comfortable when they're at work. And so I think that's important for work culture. But I will also say don't get too comfortable with being comfortable, right? Especially now you see a lot of companies, especially in the corporate side, where they say, oh, we're a casual company, right? But still understand that you still have to fit kind of a culture for that company of how traditionally it was. I know very early on in my career, I hated wearing like suits and ties. I knew that it made me look groomed, but I didn't especially like to wear suits and ties, especially during the summer, right? And because I was a consultant, I was always running from like our office to like a client site with decks and stuff in my hand, and you'll be hot and sweating, and so that was uncomfortable. But now it's more laid back. You don't always have to wear ties anymore depending on your company. But I will also say, like, be mindful of how chill you come to work depending on the culture that you work for, right? So going into A, after work activities offered to employees. I think this is extremely important. One thing that I could publicly say I think Accenture did a great job at before I became an entrepreneur was after work activities, whether this was going like bowling or like happy hours or escape the rooms or professional kind of development opportunities or having like dinners and things like that with managing directors or senior people in the organizations. I remember the first time I went to a Shabbat dinner was with like a global head at Accenture, and so that really opened up and exposed me to something new. So I think that's extremely important. And last but not least, C, lunch policies, office tours, and volunteer opportunities. Lunch policies, I'm not too sure exactly what they meant here about that, but I would say like I'm a big fan of not creating a culture where people feel they have to bring their food back to their desk. And a lot of you through internships or will soon experience this once you enter the workforce full time, that a lot of people come and they bring their food back to their desk and they kind of like eat and work at the same time, which is cool if you have like a hard deliverable, a deadline that you have to hit. But I would say, especially if you're going to be in a position where you're going to be working all day, depending on the organization or the type of industry you go into, take that time out, take your hour and go out, meet with someone, use this as an opportunity to kind of like, refreshing yourself, and don't feel obligated to always come back to the desk. And then office tours, a good office tour never hurts, but I think your office should be like one that you actually want to tour, right? There are some offices that aren't really cool, or like a tech office that usually has like cereal and bean bags and all that cool stuff there. So it depends on the office there. And volunteer opportunities. I'm a big component and fan of volunteer opportunities. I think especially millennials and like people in the Gen Z, and even people above that as well, like they really like to give back, but depending where your office is located, it can be sometimes hard to give back. So I think incorporating volunteer opportunities inside of the organization where like students or high school or college students could come on site and learn from professionals is always a big plus. So those are my kind of a few inputs in regards to the way that everything was ranked.
Cool. Yeah. Keep going, this engine going, because we're running short on time, but understanding the power of body language and eye contact. Okay. Really resonates home with some of our audience here today. So in an office discussion, you should A, tend to monopolize conversations, but catch yourself most of the time. B, listen to people and constantly look around for someone interesting to talk to. And C, look people in the eye, listen closely, and ask genuine questions. So we're gonna give this 30 seconds, and then we're gonna give our panelists 30 seconds to respond. All right, answers in the air. Yes, C, look people in the eye and listen closely and ask genuine questions. Any feedback from our panelists about this? Yes? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty self-explanatory, but I just want to add, just in regards to genuine questions, super important because I think when you're in an interview in particular, I know usually you come with those questions prepared. A lot of times folks come into the HR interview and ask those questions about how you got into your career. Don't ask those questions to the recruiter. I always want to share that. They're not going in the career path that you're trying to get into, right? So you want to ask that of the hiring managers that you're going to ask in the second round interview. So that's just a little tip that I would give you, is to save those questions for folks on the teams you're going to be working for. But genuine questions for the HR side, I think, are really more about kind of qualifications that we're looking for, things to help you stand out, things like that, more logistical questions. But I think sometimes people get confused about the HR portion of the interview and then the kind of line of business, the second round interview, because they are different kinds of questions that you want to ask.
Yeah, and the only thing I'd add is once you're at a company, get to know your company and get to know people in different parts of your company. Sometimes teams can almost come across as cliquey because they are with each other so often, which there's positive to that too, like being close with your team members. But go out and talk to other groups, and it may give you a new perspective of the company that you're at.
Thank you so much, panelists. Our next question. When giving a presentation to the CEO, SVP, VP, or your company, you should A, engage and make eye contact with the entire room, not just the CEO. B, stand up straight and use minimal motion. Or C, pace back and forth and engage with everyone in the room. 30 seconds. All right, time. Oh, no, I'm not gonna click first. Okay. A, engage and make eye contact with the entire room, not just the CEO.
So a few things. One, sometimes when you think of CEOs, we almost think of them like they were celebrities. And some of them are actually celebrities. But it's important to know that people are people. And so when you're presenting to a CEO, they don't want to be, maybe not all, but most are looking to be talked to about what the problem is or what your solution is, like what your ideas are, not to be put on this pedestal. And so if you're talking just to one of them, then you're missing out talking to the entire room. So if you're in a room of 3 people, it could include that administrative assistant also. You should be talking to everyone, making eye contact and reading the room. Also because you want to assess, is what I'm saying getting through to this person? Is this actually making sense? And one way that one tool that I use for that is I'll sometimes ask questions of the room too to see if they are actually hearing. But then the second way I want to just add to this is if you ever are presenting to a CEO, what you want to do is be concise and to the point. You don't want to give a very long diatribe in your explanation because although you'll have brilliant thoughts, if you have too many, you may lose that person. So be concise, be thoughtful, and the way you can show that your thoughtfulness is what's the task that you're presenting on or you're talking to them about, and how do you have a potential solution, or what are the key takeaways that you're presenting on instead of like everything you did. If I had a project, don't tell me about the whole project. What were the key takeaways? And then finally, make sure that you're thinking about the business as a whole, not just the team that it's a part of. So I may present to the CEO about our account management team, but what does my presentation mean for our marketing team and our product team and our tech team? If I'm thinking about our whole business, then whether they choose my presentation or not, they'll see that I care about our organization and that I'm trying to better us as an organization.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, sorry, we have to go to the next question. But this is an exciting one because we will open it up to, Chris will start, but we will open up to all panelists for our tiebreaker question. So this is our tiebreaker. 1, we have calculated it, and teams 1, teams 3, and teams 5 are tied. So this is our tiebreaker question. So Chris, we're gonna have you answer this last question. Promotion and growth. This is extremely important. Once you come into your career, you've worked so hard to get from internship to full-time entry-level employee, and now you're an entry-level employee. And I'm sure you're gonna want to make more money than entry-level employee money. So you're gonna want to know about promotion and growth. So how do you request a promotion? A, prepare a memo that clearly outlines your proven track record and provides concrete metrics. B, play the other offer card. Viacom wants me. No, no, NBC wants me. Okay, or C, ask your boss for regular feedback and advice on how you can get to the next level. Build that one-on-one relationship with them so they can understand that you've been working hard. What do I need? What is the question? What is the answer? All right, 30 seconds. All right, are you ready to put those answers in the air? Oh. Ready? What? I'll do it so everyone can do it at the same time. Team, this is team 1, 3, and 5. All right, ready? Go.
You guys all lost.
Hey, prepare a memo that clearly outlines your proven track record and provides concrete metrics. Chris, please take it away for our final answer.
So I don't know how we're going to break the tie now, but in terms of requesting a promotion, what you want to do is make a strong business case about what you've done and what you've taken on. And so some ingredients to that can be, what additional responsibility have you maybe taken on from when you first started compared to where you are now? Number 2 would be, let's say we work with account managers. Let's say the typical account manager makes more money in the industry than you're making. Well, that can be a part of your case too. I feel like I'm underpaid compared to the industry. So additional responsibility, how I compare to the industry, and then also what have you done, like what are recent successes that you can highlight in that case? Like, I was a part of work with an account and the account grew towards X, Y, and Z. But whatever the ingredients end up being for your company, you want to ask, and when you ask, even if it was clear as night, like or clear as day, I guess, but even if it was so clear that you should get a promotion, you still should make that case, because it makes it easier to get the yes than just saying, I think I deserve it. And you may deserve it, but having that case behind it and the concrete metrics that you can show will really help you get what you want. Because in many cases, the company wants you to grow too, but you have to show the growth and then often go for it.
Thank you, guys. So, oh. Clap it up for all our panelists and our speakers. So even though all the teams lost, you guys are all winners because you're here. So what we're going to do is that we're going to provide you access. NAMIC has its career month for November, and we have 3 amazing events coming up. So we will provide you, we have all your email addresses because Dolly provided to us. We will give you free access to our career events coming up in the next month. So we'll email you a link so that you can have it. And then those, we'll ask for feedback from Dolly from all the sessions. We'll be able to connect you all with executives. So it's great to make a presence here for the during your time at One Day Immersion, and we're thankful to have you and our speakers to join our panel today. Sorry we ran over a little bit, but it was great to be with you guys today.